Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Vivek Yadav. I am from NPB previous year. I am here to present our presentation on the topic site discrimination. So, let's start. Here, it is the key content. First one is definition, necessary condition for price discrimination, the model, degrees price discrimination, effects of price discrimination, and the price elasticity of demand, price discrimination, and the existence of the industry, government regulated monopoly. So here is the definition of price discrimination. Price discrimination exists when the same product is sold at different prices to different buyers. The cost of production is either the same or it differs, but not as much as the difference in the sales price. The product is basically the same, but it may have slightly difference. For example, different binding of the same books, different location of seats in theaters, different seats in an aircraft or a train. Here is the next necessary condition for price discrimination. The necessary condition which must be fulfilled for the implementation of price discrimination are the following. First one is the market must be divided into some markets with different price elasticities. There must be effective separations of the sub-markets so that no reselling can take place from a low price market to a high price market. This condition shows why price discrimination is easier to apply with commodities like electricity or gas and services like service of a doctor, transport a shoe, which show consumed by buyer and cannot be resold. Here is the model of price discrimination. The first is the curve of MC and MR curve at different places. You can see in the diagram, here is the figure of curve between MC and MR. So by this graph, we can see that or inclination of the graph is the two curves intersect at a point A. Here is the equilibrium point, thus defining a total output OX is shown your below an axis which must be produced. If the monopolist were to charge a uniform price, this would be a P point and his total revenue would be OX to AP. So in the first market, profit is maximized when MR1 equal to MC, means marginal revenue curve equal to marginal cost curve. In the second market, profit is maximized when marginal revenue 2 equal to marginal curve. Clearly, the total profit is maximized when the monopolist equates the common marginal curve to the individual revenues. MC equal to MR1 equal to MR. So here is the degree of price discrimination. There is three type of degrees: first degree, second degree, and third degree price discrimination. So first we can see that first degree price discrimination. Here is the graph of first degree. You can see the MR curve and the axis y-axis. P cuts the curve at D point. So the definition is that in the limited case in which the monopolist can negotiate individually with each buyer and tell each units of output and its corresponding prices, then he will receive the entire consumer surplus. This is known as first degree price discrimination. Now, it is the second degree price discrimination. If the monopolist can negotiate and sell at more than two prices, he will receive a still larger part of the consumer surplus. This is called second degree price discrimination. Here is the graph of second degree price discrimination. You can see that the different prices P, P1, P2, P3, and there is X1, X2, X3. So an encryption of this graph is if the monopolist can negotiate and sell at more than two prices higher than one price. For example, to sell OX1 at P1, X2, X1, X2, and P2 at X2, X3, and P3 at X3X. At he will receive a larger part of the consumer surplus. Now, explain third degree price discrimination. Since the cost of producing OX is the same, irrespective the same price at which it will be sold, profit from price discrimination are larger as compared with those that would be obtained from selling all the output at a uniform price P. This is called third degree price discrimination. Here is the graph of third degree price discrimination. You can see encryption is that if the monopolist sold all OX at P, he would receive OX AP and the consumer would have a surplus of P. Assume now that the monopolist sell OX1 at the price P1 and the remaining quantity X1 at the price P. So, the complete of price discrimination, and now the effect of price discrimination. The price discrimination discriminating monopolists manage to repeat part of the consumer, plus its total revenue and its total profit will be higher even if he sells the quantity OX, which is defined by the intersection of his MC, this original aggregate M marker. So here is the effects of price discrimination curve. You can see the equilibrium, different equilibrium points, and at MC curve. So the inscription of this curve is we were uniform, the monopolist would sell OX amount of output. If price discrimination is applied, only the additional units are sold at gradually lower prices, and hence the MR shifts to the position MR dash. The new equilibrium position is defined by at which the quantity is OX dash greater than OX. In the limited case of perfect discrimination, the MR will coincide with the DD dash curve. The equilibrium will be at E double dash, the output will be OX double dash, and the following condition will hold. MC curve equal to MR equal to AR equal to E. And the seller will have achieved the maximum increase in his revenue, wrapping all consumer surplus. Mathematically, derivation of the equilibrium position of the price discriminating monopolist, given the total demand of the monopolist, P equal to F of X. It is the price discrimination and the price elasticity of demand. So we have established that MR equal to P 1 minus 1 upon E. In the case of price discrimination, we have MR1 equal to P1 1 minus Q1 upon E1. MR2 equal to P2 1 minus 1 upon E2. And MR1 equal to MR2, we already know. Therefore, therefore P1 1 minus 1 upon E1 equal to P2 1 minus 1 upon E2. Or we can also write that P1 by P2 equal to P1 1 minus 1 upon P1 divided by P2 1 minus 1 by P2. Here E1 is the elasticity of D1, E2 equal to elasticity of D2. If E1 equal to E2, the ratio price is equal to the unity P1 by P2 equal to 1. That is P1 equal to P2. This means that when elasticity are the same, price discrimination is not possible. The monopolist will charge a uniform price for his product. If price elasticity differs, price will be higher. So market whose demand is less elastic. This is obvious from equality of the MRs. E1 1 minus 1 by E1 equal to P2 1 minus 1 by E2. If E1 greater than E2, then 1 minus 1 by E1 greater than 1 minus 1 by E2. Thus, for the equality of MRs to be fulfilled, P1 less than P2. That is the market with the higher elasticity will have lower prices. Now is the price discrimination and the existence of the industry. In some cases, the various sectors of a market may have demand curve, which, when added together, give a total market demand which lies at all levels of output below the LAC of the firm. Under these circumstances, it is clear that production cannot take place at all if uniform price is charged, no matter how high this price. So here is the figure of this. You can see that LAC curve and the B dash, B2 dash, and B equal to B1 plus B2. The description of the figure is that if price discrimination is adopted with a sufficiently higher prices, if B1 charges for the inelastic sector of the market, the sufficiently low prices B2 that for the last section of the market, the total revenue may be sufficient to cover the total cost so that production can take place. Here is the another figure you can see. So encryption of this figure is that with quantity OX1 sold at P1 and quantity OX2 sold at P2, P2, the total quantity is OX, which brings in a total revenue of OX, A dash A, and an average revenue of OA, which is higher than the average cost OC, leaving the monopolist an excess profit equal to the shaded area CC double S A dash A. The last topic of presentation is government regulated monopoly. When the market size is small related to the optimal size of plant, we have case of natural monopoly that is the case in which the market cannot support more than one optimally sized firm, which thus become the natural monopolist. Under these circumstances, the government may endeavor either by itself undertaking the operation of the plant or by regulating the price that the private monopolist is allowed to charge. In both cases, the government has to set the prices to the levels of different prices if price discrimination is adopted. So here is the figure. You can see that MC, and EC curve. Encryption of this figure is that firstly the government may set a price at the level of MC, that is equal P to MC. This is P1, which would lead to a higher output X1, but would still allow some excess profits, though less than the monopolistic output Xn. Secondly, the government may set a price equal to the AC, this is P2, which leads to a still higher output X2. The price will be set below the profit maximized PM, which corresponds to the intersection of MC and MR. Because price PM would imply excess profits, hence exploitation of the buyers. Two possibilities have been widely discussed both in theory and in practice. So, thank you. That's it.